I'm grooving out. Good morning, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from MasonWorks Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone with my dear friend Denise. And Denise, you're muted, dear. There we go. So let's see. Honestly, Denise is a very magical being. She was a nurse, and she has a medical background, but she's a wayshower, an artist, a voice alchemist, a master Reiki teacher, a crystalline grid connector, and she blends a powerful array of healing frequencies from gold, rose gold, and platinum rays. And she does things with the fae, the fairies, the dragons, and diamond light and galactic source codes. I got it. I got most of it. But she's an amazing artist. And everything that I've ever done with her, I've just enjoyed the frequencies, the high frequencies, and the love that she shares. So welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I feel I need to almost qualify the artist. I wouldn't say I'm an artist in the traditional sense of the word. I do create, I'd say more creative. I've got strong creative energies, but I'm not a gifted artist, as in someone who can just paint anything.
Right. Well, you're a code bearer, so the codes come through visually, auditorily. I mean, we have 5 senses, and you're able to convey these amazing love codes through a bunch of different senses, right?
Yeah, thank you. And the light codes feels like something different to me as well. And the way that I work with the light codes, I will draw the codes on paper, sometimes on the iPad, but I find it easier on paper to start with. And this is kind of how I perceive energy to be coming into the field when I draw these codes. And then I mirror the codes, and then I do different layering techniques with the codes. And it's so interesting that I wouldn't be able to do what I do without the technology that's around these days. Like I couldn't have done this, 10, 20 years ago. And it's so interesting when I mirror the codes, because things appear on the page that you can't really just see before you mirror them. Mm-hmm. So things will come together. Often dragons will appear on there, and it's almost, sometimes it's almost a bit abstract, a bit like abstract art, but you can still see it in there. And the codes dance on the page. Yeah. You can kind of see the energy and see them dancing. So I've done various different codes, like superabundance codes. There were freedom codes that I did a few years ago as well. And I do them for people individually as well. And it's really powerful when you receive your codes to kind of just hold them and let the energy go into your field, into your body. And each time you look at them, you'll receive a different kind of download. So those I've been doing for probably about 5, 7 years, something like that. 5 years, I think.
Well, could you share how you went from traditional medicine to this new frequency? Well, the journey may help a lot of these people that are waking up right now that have pretty powerful insights, and they're very empathic and sensitive, but they don't quite have the courage, let's say, to step out, because even traditional medicine and nursing, they're teaching Reiki now. So when you started, you started as a pioneer, and now it's more in the mainstream. But could you talk a little bit about your journey so that people could maybe glean some ways that they might learn what they could do?
Yeah, thank you, because it's been a huge turnaround in the way that I look at the body, the way that I work with the body. So from being 18, I went to be a nurse, and I'd always wanted to help people. And I guess options at that time were a little bit limited, really. I wouldn't have been able to do medicine. I wanted to be a psychiatrist for a while, and then my sister said, "Oh, why don't you be a nurse?" So that kind of stuck, and I went into nursing, and was really, for most of my nursing career, very, very, you might say, left brain, very much more on the logical, analytical end of the scale. Didn't believe in energy, didn't believe in any of this hocus pocus nonsense that I believe in now, and that's what I thought it was. And what changed for me, there was a few things on the journey. One of the things was after my dad died, and he visited me in dreams. And I remember even saying to him in a dream, "This is real. Like, I'm going to have to write to all the medical papers and tell them that they've got it wrong." It was so very real. Those dreams where it's kind of even more real than this reality. So that sowed seeds with me. Reading certain books sowed seeds with me as well, like the Celestine Prophecy, The Doors of Perception, Carlos Castaneda books, like a lot of books kind of again sowed seeds. But what really shifted things for me was receiving a Reiki treatment from a friend. And my mum had done Reiki for quite a few years. And yeah, I didn't even want her to do a session on me because I just didn't believe in it. But this friend whose judgment I valued, I was round at a house for dinner, and all I had to do was lie there for an hour. So I did. And I could not believe the difference between before and after in how I felt. But I could also feel the energy. There was no mistaking, there was no denying that I could feel the energy. Her hands were ridiculously hot, especially around my throat. And so that was December 2000, and I went on a bit of a mission. After that, I bought myself a book on Reiki and was kind of placing my hands on myself and bringing energy through. But it wasn't until May 2001 I had my level 1 attunement, and that just changed everything because I could really feel the energy. I remember, buying crystals, thinking, "Oh, I'm not sure about this." Putting them on my hand and feeling the energy going down my arm, putting it down and going, "That feeling's gone," putting it back. So I kind of went on a bit of a mission then, and it sparked something in me. And I remember during my attunement as well, when my hands were together, just having this feeling of, I've come home. I've been waiting, all my life for this moment. And I was doing a lot of sessions on other members of staff. I worked in renal, so it was quite full on, really, being a kidney nurse. And I was doing it on patients as well. And one of the consultants was very open to things, and he would refer patients to me. And I also got referrals from the pain control team and the palliative care team. And this was in 2002. Wow. And my Reiki master and I started putting on Reiki level 1 and 2 in the hospital, open to anybody. And we attuned about 189, 187 people. Wow. At that time. And then I moved to Australia and actually got more deeply into all this stuff and learned a few different modalities along the way while I was there, like kinesiology and theta healing. And I guess when I was doing sessions on, I was always wanting proof, I guess, really, because I still have that analytical mind. And even though I felt it for myself, doing sessions on other people, you kind of just get that reinforced. Yeah, so there's probably quite a few other little bits and bobs along the journey, but that kind of starts it off. And then I moved back to England. It just felt right to move to Australia. I lived in Byron Bay, which is a really open place, very spiritual place, very, very strong energy there. And when my time was done, I just knew that it was time to leave there. Went to New Zealand for a few months, and then nothing really opened up there. And I've been back in England for 7 years. So the light code stuff, that actually dropped in stages. And when I started doing sessions, I worked at an amazing backpackers in Byron called the Arts Factory. And when I started doing sessions on people there, and I began using sound as well, I would find that my hands would do different things over the body. And I realized after many years of being there, I worked there for 12 years, that it felt like it was a different frequency of energy that was coming in, like a very crystalline frequency of energy. And I was kind of weaving the energy into people's energy field.
Wow.
And then the genius thing about that was, the genius thing from the universe was that those people didn't live in Byron. It was a traveling place. So people would leave there and they would tread their footsteps, their energy footprint all over the world. And so that energy that was being brought through then got anchored kind of worldwide in lots of ways. And so what I do when I'm drawing the light codes, it's very similar to what I was doing over the body. It's kind of, because I see the energy coming in spirals. Sometimes it's kind of this action, and those are some of the symbols, glyphs that come through in the light codes.
Wow. So okay. Are you finding that you can translate any of the light codes that are coming through, whether they're written or they're auditory? Are you I've worked with this incredible woman, Joanne Palladino, and she brings in these beings that she calls Shemaya, the beings of light, and she can actually say da 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 and then translate it. Do you ever find that you can translate it, what you get?
It's interesting you asked that, because I have had conversations with people in light language, but I haven't necessarily understood what's been said. And for me, when it comes through, it's like 10 people might hear a different translation of it. So it's quantum in nature. So what one person receives may be completely different from what someone else receives. And I find that it's more for the purposes of, for example, it might be, say if we're working on someone's abundance, it's less, how can I put this into words? It's in the work that I do, I don't feel there's a direct translation for it, because it's a way of bringing energy in, and there's pockets or packets of energy within what you speak. And as I say, everyone that listens to that might actually get a different version of that. And even if you listen to it again, it can be a different kind of version of it.
That sounds fantastic. So before we came on, we were talking about the abundance, and you were talking about an event that you did this year and that you're considering doing again in January. You want to share a little bit about that?
So, thank you. It was, I think a lot of us have been working with our abundance, with money. A lot of us have been in survival for a long time. So we've been working with the programs of lack, for example. And often we shy away from money in the spiritual community. There are so many deep-rooted beliefs that we might have about money, like money being evil. There might be stuff in our ancestry that we're carrying through in our DNA. You know, kind of, if money was gotten through, you know, what's the expression? Is it ill-gotten gains?
Yeah.
Kind of blood money, kind of. You know, we can hold a lot of that stuff in our DNA. So I've done a lot of things on abundance. I'm just going to clear my throat. Hang on a sec. But I wanted specifically with this one to do something on money itself. So when I do gatherings, I share light language transmissions. There's often times of silence as well, and visualization. So in the visualization, we connected with the energy of money, the whole energy of money. And when I first did that, I saw it as different streams. And it's funny, the words that we use for money, like currency, current, it's very watery, a lot of the words that we use for money. And this, I could see lots of different streams. Some of it was kind of like in eddies, in spirals. It was almost like some of it was being siphoned off. And when we connected with money, we just sent it love. I didn't want people to get too bogged down in the energy of money, because it has many layers of distortion in it as well. But there's also a very pure, clear, high frequency energy of money as well. So we connected with that and invited it into us. I encouraged people to write a letter to money. Oh. That's a really interesting thing to do. If you've never done that, it's a really interesting thing to do. And even to repeat it further down the line as well, and see if that energy's changed. And then we connected with, I suggested that they have something like a treasure chest to represent their own money supply. And how was that chest looking? Was it locked? Was it like old and decrepit? If you were able to get into it, how was it? You know, was it full? Was it empty? Was it draining away? And just spend some time with that treasure chest, kind of changing the energy of it. So, you know, maybe even swapping it for a different treasure chest, and seeing things going into the treasure chest, like, you know, whatever you wanted to bring into your world, if that's a house or a car, or seeing those things dropping into the treasure chest, seeing checks, large amounts, you know, not being shy with this. And yeah, the visualization, I can't remember so much about the I have a feeling we were in a cave. And so every time that I've reconnected with that, I felt a shift in my energy field in regards to money. I feel more magnetic. I feel more in flow. We also did some work to remove beliefs, because you can have completely opposite beliefs about the same thing, because we're holding things from our ancestors, we're holding things from the collective. So you can have diametrically opposed beliefs about things like money. So that's the energy that you're sending out to the universe. So, you know, it might well be a bit confusing for the universe to know, you know, where you are with that, if you're giving very, you know, mixed messages. Yeah, so I think I'm going to repeat it again in January. I think I've put the 17th. Oh no, that was a Sunday. Maybe it was the 8th. Oh, I think I wanted to bring the 8 in there. And this year has been a very interesting year, with it being an eight year. But I've definitely seen a shift this year.
So that was a live event, but did you record it?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to hear it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of need to release fear right now, and that slave program where we were in debtor's prison or whatever that was is running pretty rampant, where people are worried about who's in office, and oh, they don't have any power, if they don't have any money, all of that. So that would be a powerful opportunity for people to just sort of wash it away. Yeah. Oh, that's what Angie's soul says. Yes, I want that one to replay, Denise. I'm not the only one. So thank you. So Denise, I wanted everyone to know that where you live, so that the people like me that are in the US, or people that are all around the world, that they have a feeling for, and Angie said she'll share too. Thank you. That they have a feeling of the location and the frequency of the location that you're transmitting from. Okay?
Yeah, lovely. So this isn't where I was brought up. I'm in the northeast of England, much nearer to Scotland than I am to London. It's very cold. I've never lived in such a cold place, but then coming here from Australia, it's gonna feel cold. And it's very pure energy here. It's not known as being an energy hotspot. It's not like Glastonbury and various other places around the country. But I feel that the energy is very strong, but it's always felt like it's beneath the surface. So this area, I'm not far from Whitby. I'm kind of between York and Whitby. York is a beautiful city. It's got a lot of medieval buildings still. It's a very special place, and it feels very special. There's some quite funky energy places in York as well. There's a lot of history there, but overall, it's very, very special. Whitby, I'm kind of halfway between York and Whitby is a seaside town. Very, very special energy there. It's a very busy town in the summer. Very strong dragon energy there. There's actually a cliff that is called, some people call it the Crocodile Cliff, but I would say that it's more a dragon cliff. Oh. And it's like a sleeping dragon, so you can just see the head. And there are these caves beneath it as well, and you can see like a dragon claw there. It's mind-blowing. And when I stayed in Whitby almost 2 years ago, I was staying, Whitby is actually where Dracula was written. Whitby's like it's got a very old abbey. And apparently he was sitting in the graveyard when he was inspired to write much of the story of Dracula.
Wow.
So I was staying near the hill, near the abbey, and when I was in the bath, I went in deep meditation space and I could see into the cliff, and I could just see so many dragons in there, more dragons than I've ever seen. And that wasn't the same cliff as the dragon's head. That's kind of further down. And the energy up here, it's a place where monks used to come on retreat as a quiet place for meditation. There's very strong Rosicrucian energy here. A lot of the old churches that were built on the ancient pagan sites are around here. So we have some 1,000-year-old churches around here. And the energy, because they were pagan sites originally, can be very, very special. And there's one that actually isn't that old. It was only built in the 1800s. There's a Magdalene Chapel around here as well. And the energy in there is just amazing. And it's built on sacred geometric proportions. The sound quality in there is very clear. It's only a small chapel, but it is in honour of Mary Magdalene. And one of the other towns, a place called Lastingham, there are strong Mary Magdalene links there as well. So yeah, it's a very special old English place, but I live in a very small town, and people are much more open than they were when I first arrived. I've been back here for 7 years, and lots happened in the last 7 years, and people are definitely much more open to things these days. I do sound baths, and I get way more people now than I did when I first came. I've lost my train of thought. So,
well, I wanted you to know that Auntie's I live by the Pacific Ocean. King tides are happening. Baby dragons are following me. I am so having fun.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, that's what from my knowing, the fairies, elementals, and the dragons are all available now when I go to the forest in the mountains. In fact, I mean, they're showing us things. They're saying, come over here. There's a portal over here. And there's a lot of portals open now that I didn't experience quite the same before. So I'm loving that high frequency. I don't know. I want to answer you a question, and then I'd love to show the videos and then see if there's time for anything. But what do you think about people talking about 3D to 5D? I'm coming up to a point now where I'm not sure that means anything, and it's more about frequency, about changing your wave so you don't have to dip so low, and being able to stay higher in your attitude and in your love frequency, basically in your emanations. And then if you do get a block, you get the chance to clear it pretty quickly, versus 5D, because there's so much fear about, am I in 3D? Am I going to get stuck in 3? Am I going to 5? And I don't know I don't know how to make sense of that. Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
There's so much of what I've believed for the last, 20 years or so that I'm kind of just really not sure about anymore. I feel that the most important thing on top of frequency, but maybe even more important, is the heart. And you touched on this in what you said there. I feel it's so much more important to be in the space of love, to be working from our hearts, and not completely letting go of the head, but just not letting our lives be ruled and our decisions be completely made by our heads instead of our hearts. But I feel the two working together so much more, but the heart kind of being much more the operator.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And in terms of 3D and 5D, I really don't know anymore. I've never really been aligned with the idea of there being kind of two Earths. I'm just not sure about that. It's never been a strong kind of belief of mine. But I do think in terms of frequency, because if everything is energy, so we have a frequency, our bodies are emitting a frequency of energy, and the frequency is kind of how quickly those waves are going. There's also bandwidth as well, which is like how big the waves are. So I get, even in terms of the body, you've got lower frequency down nearer to the earth, like the base center is said to be a lower frequency of energy than those up here, that these are a higher frequency. And to me, that's the rate of oscillation. It's the rate that the wave is kind of oscillating. And that's to do with sound as well. But in terms of even the term dimension is maybe not that helpful. I do feel collectively we are moving into a different bandwidth of energy. We are moving into a different frequency. And I believe I've seen that already. Mm-hmm. I believe, I still teach Reiki sometimes, and I feel the vibratory rate of my students overall is way higher, way, way, way higher than it was 20 years ago. So I do see that our frequency is changing and that it's rising. In terms of it suddenly being a utopia, I'm not sure. In lots of ways, I'd like to believe that, but I'm just not totally sure.
Yeah, that's what I same thing with me is I never visualized that there were two earths necessarily, and you would leave people behind, because I think everyone that is here on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And that they stood in line to get these bodies. So I'm not sure that anyone is left behind, but I do think the frequencies, these light codes, just even this past 2 months have been so strong. And lots of people are still getting ascension flu. Even if they've done a lot of work, they're getting ascension flu now. And that's just our cells clearing the toxins. Yeah,
there's so much more photonic light coming onto the planet. There's so much light coming onto the planet from where we are in the solar system, but also from the sun. Like, you know, and this has to have an effect on the body. It is like everything's just being like,
that's right. And you can either fight it and go, oh no, or you can go, bring it on, go out and sit in it. So you can get more. And that's what people that are joyful during this time are in more of a receptive mode, and you can put on good music and dance to it. You can create an environment, even if everything around you is in chaos or the media's saying something else is happening. You can go out and still have a joyful experience and receive, because that's our opportunity, I think. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I do.
So can I, because I want to leave enough time if you want to do light language, can I show the videos? And
shall I just give a little shall
yes.
I just preface it? So the Magdalene Chapel that I mentioned before, I've been going there for almost 7 years, and this last time I was guided to go behind the church, and there's this really magical little spot. I don't know if you've ever been in a naturally occurring circle of trees. It's not a precise circle, but there are trees kind of pretty much in a circle. And I've always found, I used to find these sometimes in Australia, that when you step into there, asking permission first.
Yes.
But if you feel like you've got permission and going in there, the energy is always really, really strong. And there were some, again, I think naturally occurring rocks on the ground. And then right in the center, there was 2 Amanita muscaria mushrooms, which are the classic red and white mushrooms, always associated with fairies. And I just couldn't believe how it felt there. And I spent some time in there. I recorded a little video just of the magic of the place, again with permission. And then I went inside, and what normally happens, I do monthly Dragon Immersions where we connect with dragons for a specific purpose each week, and often different dragons that we're connecting with as well. And when I recorded myself doing light language transmission inside the chapel, on this particular occasion, there were so many orbs, and I didn't look at the video until I went to edit it before I put it onto YouTube the other day, and I couldn't believe the number of orbs, kind of big ones that I've recorded before. When I was with a hedgehog one time, there was an orb that just kind of like swept through. But this felt very different, and there was, just something really odd that flew out from the side of me as well. It was, so we did a little clip of that Kathy's going to show. now.
Okay, so I think I have the right one. Okay, so we're going to show that one more time, and then we're going to show the other one, and then we're going to show the slides. Okay, is that okay with you? Okay, so you guys, the reason we're so excited about this is look on the left side right here. It's left looking at it, but it was her right side. Look at well, should I show the picture and then play it again?
Yeah, actually do
Okay,
that.
let's do that. Okay, so here's one of the stills. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so just to the right of my arm, but on the left of the screen, just in line with the bench there, although it does go a little bit lower. That's a still of what kind of flew out from the side of me. And I've never seen anything like that before. I have absolutely no explanation for it. I've zoomed in. Yeah, I have no idea.
And there it is there on the left. I guess my cursor doesn't show like it does in Zoom. Sorry. It's almost at the end of the pew.
Yeah.
You can see on the far left that line of light. And that's what we're going to show you the clip again that shows that. Okay. I think I am. I hope I'm going to do the right one. Okay. We'll try this again. That's so cool. Okay, and then we'll show you another one.
So this one, there's just lots of orbs right from the beginning.
There's one. There's another.
And that little one flying in from the left and going up, that, yeah, I thought at first that was a fly.
I think it went in you. That's what the last year at, let's see, let me remove this now. Last year I was at several events where there was live music, and the videos just were filled with orbs, and they were going in us. I mean, it wasn't, and sometimes they make you laugh embarrassingly so. I mean, it's supposed to be a spiritual thing. It's like, better go to the bathroom and get it out of you. You're in public. But anyway, okay, so what we want people to know is that the cameras are now catching a lot of the things that we feel that we couldn't validate before, but now the cameras are catching it, right?
Yeah. As technology has moved on, and also I guess as our frequencies moved on, I guess the frequency of the technology is raised as well. I really wasn't sure about orbs when I first started hearing about them, like, I don't know, 20 years ago or something. But I can't, that church is a very quiet road. Like, it's not traffic outside. There is a window kind of, I'm not in front of a window though. There are windows on that side, but there's a big stone wall next to me. And there's, in terms of a logical explanation, I don't have one.
Okay, that's fine. Well, you either experience and believe and are playing with the energies, or you're on your way to discovering them. Because our senses, we've got these 5 senses, but there's so much more in the field. And so I believe that everyone's going to be more empathic and more capable of connecting with the unseen. And it's pretty obvious that's what you're doing. So that I love that we have proof of it, because I can feel it from you, definitely.
And interestingly, because when I go to the chapel, I usually do some light language and then I just sit down quietly and I receive the next transmission for the next gathering. And I'm always having to like make notes as I'm receiving it. It's a bit disjointed, but I'll see in my mind's eye. I'll often be, given things, taken on a bit of a journey. And what I was recording on that one was an activation for the medulla oblongata at the back of the head. And that's a lot to do with, connecting beyond the veil as well. So it's just kind of funny and a little ironic that was the day that they chose to show themselves. But also, I think there was something for sure about me having gone into the space at the back and being invited in there. It felt like I was actually invited into that. And I did take some videos of me doing some light language outside. I've not released those yet. And I see those same little dots of light, the very tiny ones that came in quite close to my body. I see those in the undergrowth. And it took me ages the other day because I just wanted a quick edit. But when I was in iMovie, I was just seeing all this stuff and I couldn't do the work that I wanted to do because I was just like zooming in and going, what is that? That's amazing.
Love it. I love that you're seeing the results of what you do, because sometimes you do stuff and you just go out and you have great intention, but you don't know if anyone what the benefit was, even though that was your intention to be of benefit. Do you feel that there's new Reiki-like codes coming in too? Because I get confused with all the different kinds of Reiki. It's almost like yoga. There's so many different kinds of yoga. There's so many different kinds of Reiki. But when you do teach Reiki, you embed these codes into people to help them perform their tasks, right?
I feel what happens when you have a Reiki attunement is that you're opened up as a channel during the process, so that healing life force energy can just very easily come through your body. And it's interesting that I think the energy is constantly changing. It's never felt the same. It's never felt the same between any people that I've done sessions on, but the frequency is constantly changing. And I don't so much even say that I do Reiki anymore. I mention it locally because that's a word that they kind of understand now, whereas when I first started, people like that. But I tend, I call the work that I do now vibrational healing. Because it kind of goes a lot deeper, I would say. I think when you're taught Reiki, you really just taught to put your hands there and let the energy do the work. But I think most of us that learn techniques to kind of make that stronger and for the body to, to help the body release. And I guess I encourage people to use their intuition and to go much deeper than just placing their hands on the body and letting the energy do the work. And I see the symbols as being a bit like light language.
Yes.
And they act as keys. And it's more that you're, embedding the symbols doesn't quite feel right, but you're, one of the symbols is a spiral, and a spiral it's the way energy moves. And I see them as acting like keys. So you're putting them into the auric field and just letting them and the person's body do the work, really, in opening up as a channel. There are many, many different kinds of Reiki these days. And I wondered, with what I was doing when I was in Australia as well, it's not something I'm going to call Reiki. But it does feel like it's just a different frequency of energy. And there are many different frequencies of energy, and a lot of them have different symbols to kind of use and play with. And which time was it? I think it was the time before that one that I was the video we shared, I received a huge transmission at the Magdalene Chapel that felt like it was a Mary Magdalene initiation. And I, in my mind's eye, I saw her with a alabaster jar of oil, and she anointed my feet. She put certain glyphs, I would call them, into my feet, into my hands, into my forehead. Very simple, like, a cross, an equilateral cross, and then another one with a circle around it. Other symbols that they're just very ancient, to do with the masculine and the feminine. And I received this huge initiation. There were different ones of these glyphs for each of the energy centers. And I've just started sharing those with people. There's only a couple of people that I've done those on, but they've felt the energy really strongly with them.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so some people might say that that's kind of Reiki, but it doesn't really quite feel like it.
Well, that's what you don't, when you're using your hands, and I find that I'm using my hands all the time. Sometimes in the morning I'll wake up and I'm speaking something and I have no idea what it is. And it's like, whoa, I must have still been in a dream on another planet or something. But yeah, lots of things are opening up. And as long as we're not afraid of them and don't shut them down, they're a huge gift, right? So,
Yeah.
so I want you to know, Auntie wrote, yes, my attunements are upgrading naturally without taking class.
Yeah.
And she said it's heart intention. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think people that do receive a Reiki attunement, in my experience, it just means that the energy that they channel is stronger, but you don't need one to be able to bring the energy through. But it does mean that it's a simpler process afterwards. You don't have to try to make the energy come through. And there was 2 of the hospital chaplains at the church, at the hospital where I worked. They had Reiki attunements, and they could, they were working with energy and doing spiritual healing on patients for years. But they immediately noticed a difference in terms of how strong the energy was coming out of their hands. And a lady who was a spiritual healer as well. And I remember seeing her at the end of the bed, and she was just kind of going, oh, she wasn't really sure what to expect, but she could just feel that it was an increase in the energy. And that's what I see it as. It's like opening us up to our natural way of being. It's like it's actually been closed. And this is opening us up to our natural healing ability, really.
That's so perfect. Yeah, everyone has it, but not everyone knows. And the way I knew about nurses here in the U.S. taking Reiki was, I'm a volunteer for the IONS group, which is the International Association for Near-Death Studies. And they, in front of their conference, the day before their conference, they've been teaching Reiki 1 and giving CE continuing education credits to these nurses. So a lot more people come and take that in the region, and then may still stay for the conference. And so I knew that that's been a big push for the nurses in the US, and I imagine in Canada too.
That's amazing, because it brings that healing energy, that universal life force energy, more deeply into the hospital.
That's right.
So, it then might actually become a place of healing rather than just.
Well, it's actually, it was mandated that they not use opiates. They were having addiction issues with painkillers, and so they were trying to find non-drug pain reduction methods. So they picked Reiki. So, and that's been probably the past 5 years that I've known of. So
that's amazing.
And cool?
I had really positive effects. That's why I would get referrals from the pain control team, because it was helping people. It was reducing people's pain.
Yes.
And I think often, when you're in pain, you kind of you get rigid, which and constricted, which doesn't help as well. So,
right.
Yeah, that's really amazing. And I think it would also help the nurses too, because you're giving so much of your own energy as a nurse. Like, I burnt out probably after, I don't know, 7 years or something, and I carried on nursing 20 in total. So you're pretty burnt out. You know, I was quite a mess at the end of that. So much stress in the body, and anything to make everybody's lives in the hospital better, you know. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So we have about 10 minutes. Would you like to gift us with a little session? Is that okay with your?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay, cool. You have the floor.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear.
I'll just say that light language can come through in different ways. It can come through quite fast. It can come through quite high, quite low. And I don't plan this ahead. It comes through to the, I wouldn't say needs, but to, I can't think of another word in its place, but to the needs of everybody listening, either here on the live or on the replay. And if you want to revisit this, if you can watch the video again, but even just with your intention, reconnecting with the energy, and you will reconnect with the energy, and you'll, get the next level, the next kind of layer of it. Okay, so let us all just begin by bringing our awareness to our heart space in the center of our chest. You might, if you're in a position to do so, place one or both hands on your chest. And obviously, if you're driving, don't close your eyes, or maybe don't do this. Maybe listen to it later. If you're in a position to do so, then let's just all breathe together, breathing in love, breathing that into our hearts. Breathing out anything of the day so far or the day ahead. And I'd suggest breathing in through your nose, because that's what it's designed for. Our mouth isn't designed for breathing. It's designed for eating, unless it's an emergency for your breath. And when you breathe out, I've been surprised recently how much you can release even with your mouth closed, just through your nose. But play it by ear, whether or not you breathe out through your mouth or your nose, and just intending that we release any old discordant energy through our breath, through our bodies, through our feet, through our hands during this. And let's just visualize that we have roots growing down from the base of the spine and the soles of the feet. And those roots are going deep down into the earth. And as we do this and we connect with the heart of the earth, at the center of the earth, feeling our hearts aligning with the earth, feeling the collective heart field of everybody sharing this experience in this now moment or a future now moment. And let's extend the heart awareness out to the heart of the sun, feeling gratitude in our hearts, in our bodies, for the earth, for the sun, and for the light and the life that we receive. And extending the heart awareness out to the heart of Source Creator, the cosmic heart. And just taking a few more long and slow deep breaths, breathing into your diaphragm, into your belly. Isht at aranukot o hila kiato d'onpa ad ala kiato n'oya. Te it at aranukot o kuki isht. Ma elekite paradigantaki ito o hula kia tot untola kia. Be at aranuk de parato to oist. Lepkelaki aranuk de paradigita at ut okoliki kiat at a. Kulmaki ilaki de bara de godon to liki o. Kuliki de hara de bara de kulaki de bara de ndui ta 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 ta. Kia la 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 ya la 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 la. Kulaki ya het et arana bat leki ya tast. And if there's any areas of your body that you're working with, any areas that you feel maybe imbalanced, or any areas of pain, just breathing this energy into those areas. Kastai iat und orend a. Kilete a hele ki atonto i. Hale ki hanto kola ke da 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 da. Kola ke hara de kundo i tato para de ki e. Ushtara. Da 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 da. And just bringing your awareness back to your heart space in the center of your chest. Feeling that grounded connection to the earth, reconnecting with those energy lines going into the earth, connecting heart to heart with Mother Earth, with the Solar Logos, and with Source Creator. And bringing your awareness back to your heart space, beginning to move your body, drinking plenty of water, allowing yourself to feel any emotions that may come up now or later. If you can go out into nature, that's amazing, because then we're connecting with the trees, connecting with the natural world, and also sharing these codes with the natural world as well. If your eyes are closed, opening your eyes when you're ready. Are you muted?
I don't want to open my eyes. That was wonderful. Thank you. What a refreshing experience. Thank you. Beautiful.
Thank you. And yeah, towards the end, I felt the frequency change a little bit, and I felt the dragons particularly coming in towards the end. And in the Dragon Immersions that I do, it's kind of similar to that, but on a bigger scale. Yeah, so if anyone's interested in that, you'll share the details of how they can get hold of me. I do them roughly every month, every 5 weeks. And if the Magdalene initiation calls to anybody, do reach out for that. I'm offering that at a discounted price at the minute while I'm kind of getting that energy anchored in.
So we've got to connect with you on Facebook, Inner Peace with Denise, but you also have a profile page to make a message, because we were right before we came on, we was like, we got to get you a website. My goodness. So let's see.
If you just put Inner Peace with Denise in, I think that takes you to another page. The page title is Denise's Frequency of Love page, but the www address is
Inner Peace. So Angie wrote, "Thank you so much." Aww. Isn't that cute? Wonderful. Thank you all. Thank you. Please share this. This is the time that we get to make a choice of how we show up, and Denise is, you can see how loving and supportive this energy is. It's not going to lay you out and you're not going to be able to function the rest of the day. It's really like being hugged and loved by the mother. And so I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for sharing that. You made my day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On my YouTube channel, Inner Peace with Denise, there's lots of There's lots of, I'll get in touch with you, Angie. Thank you for that. Yeah, there's lots of free light language activations on there. And it doesn't matter if they were a while ago, they're still relevant. So.
Right. This is wonderful. So everyone, I just hope that every time you're in a opportunity to shift your energy where you've been triggered or there's some old trauma showing up, that you go to Denise's page or go to her YouTube channel and give yourself the gift, or watch this again, give yourself a gift of shifting the energy, because really, truly, you're so much more powerful than you know. And this is a time to encourage you to claim that. So thank you, dear. Love you so much.
Thank you so much for having me on, Kathy.
What a gift you are. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Please share. Please share, share, share.